10 years ago, I was an ICU nurse, and we would dump people full of antibiotics and tube feeding and not a thought about what it might be doing to their microbiome. And only probably about 7 years ago or so, when I was getting ready to leave bedside, did we even start thinking about giving those patients probiotics. And so the gut microbiome has come a long way in the medical mind and the public mind as well. Today, many people are really familiar with probiotics, fibers that we need to be eating, and the fact that our gut is so central to our health. I mean, it is quite literally the core of our being. So here we do the Microbiome FX test. And what that is, it's a DNA analysis of everything that's in the gut. So we're looking at all the bacteria that belong in there. We're looking at pathogens, both bacterial, little fungi, and micro animals, if you will. So those would be parasites. And so we can see the DNA of what is living in there. And that tells me a complete picture of how do you digest plants, how do you digest proteins, what neurotransmitters you make, because about 70% of our neurotransmitters are made in our gut. And, you know, the vagus nerve is this big nerve that goes up and down from our brain to our gut, back again, sending signals all day long and regulating that release of neurotransmitters. But if you don't have the bacteria that make that neurotransmitter, it doesn't matter if you receive the signal because you can't make the product. And that requires the bacteria. And additionally, your immune system. The majority of our immune system is really wrapped up in our gut. And so this test enables me to see what is in there, what shouldn't be in there, what needs to be in there that we need to put back. And really one of the common things that I see is that the pH of the gut is wrong. And so there's a kind of interesting idea when we talk about proton pump inhibitors, which would be like a Prilosec, omeprazole, protonics, all of those. So people get acid reflux and it burns, and so we want that to stop. And then we take things that are going to lower that amount of acid and the burning. However, the gut has to have a certain pH level, a certain acidity to digest food. So what happens with long-term use of these acid reducers is that we no longer digest the food the way that we should. And then we actually get this kind of paradoxical rebound effect of now you're even having more acid reflux. So that's why people notice, like if they've been taking omeprazole for 5 years, that they try to go off and they can't. And it's because their gut has changed so that the food is not being digested. And there's a couple problems with this. One, we obviously are eating food to build our bodies, and we need the building blocks of the food. And so if we can't break that down and get used by our body, then that's not beneficial. The other problem with long-term use of these proton pump inhibitors is bone loss. So it's really important that we actually fix the pH of our gut and not just manipulate it. So, and we can do that by, there's these big families in there, and there's acid producing bacteria, and there are bacteria that modify the effect of that so that, you know, we don't want that coming back up our esophagus. That's not where it belongs. It belongs going down. And so when we do gut work, then that's what we're doing. So first, we are getting rid of everything that doesn't belong in there and getting the gut ready. I look at it like a gardening approach. We're gonna go in and we're gonna weed, and we're gonna get rid of all the weeds. And then we're gonna lay down this beautiful compost layer, and then we're gonna put in the bacteria that do belong there. And when people get done with gut health, they can eat the foods that they need to eat. They have a better understanding of how to feed their bodies, and everything is working. There's no acid reflux. There's no bloating. There's no constipation. There's no diarrhea. Everything is just working the way that it should, because, I mean, optimally, that's how you want your body to be. You don't want to be constantly taking medications to make yourself go to the bathroom, make yourself stop having diarrhea, make yourself not bloat, make yourself not have acid reflux. We need to actually solve the problem. So let me know what questions you might have about the gut, the microbiome, the bacteria that are in there. This is one of my very favorite subjects. I love microbiology. I love the study of bacteria. It's absolutely fascinating to me. We have more bacterial cells in our body than we do human cells. We absolutely evolved to live with them, and they are beneficial, but sometimes they can do some things we wish that they wouldn't. And in that case, we need to step in and fix that problem.